ஸோ ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிக்கலாமா சார்?
ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிக்கலாம்ப்பா.
Okay. A very good morning to all. I welcome everyone for the forenoon session of day 3 faculty development program. So today's session will be handled by Mr. P. Ramu on engineering mechanics. I welcome you, sir. So now you can start your session by presenting our slides, sir. Ramu sir, are you there? Ramu sir, கேக்குதுங்களா? Sir? கேள்வி ராமு சார்
ஃபோன் பண்ணி பாருங்க.
ஃபோன் பண்ணி
The external speaker made a phone call to me and in this area entire power set down.
Okay.
He requested me that he'll be handling the class tomorrow afternoon.
மேபி அந்த இதுக்கு சைக்ளோன் ஏதாச்சும் அவங்க ஏரியா கொஞ்சம் போட்டுருப்பாங்க. ராம் சார் லைன்ல இருக்கீங்க வந்து அப்படிங்களா? ஓகே சார், ஓகே ஓகே ஓகே. ஓகே. ஸோ டிஸ்கனெக்ட் ஆயிடுச்சுங்க நம்ம கனெக்ட் பண்ணுறது.
ஹலோ.
கேக்குதுப்பா, கேக்குது. கிளியரா கேக்குது.
ஓகே சார், ஓகே
சார். நீங்கள் உங்கள் பிபிடி ஷேர் பண்ணிக்கோங்க சார்.
அது ஒரே நிமிஷம்.
ஓகே சார்.
ஸ்க்ரீன் டிஸ்ப்ளே ஆகுதுங்களா?
இல்லை சார், இன்னும் ஆகலை.
ஹலோ.
இப்போ வருச்சு.
இப்போ ஒர்க் ஆகுது. இப்போ ஓகே.
ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணலாமா சார்?
ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிக்கலாம்ப்பா.
ஓகே சார். ஸோ வெரி குட் மார்னிங் everyone. So first of all, I want to thank Mr. Pradeep and then head of the institution, head of the department to provide a wonderful opportunity to me to share my knowledge with colleagues. So about the engineering mechanics. So actually my topic is Unit 5. The kinetics. So some reason the schedule is changed. So it is much difficult to understand directly to dynamics part. So first of all, I covered some basic things, then we will move on. Okay. So engineering mechanics, as everybody aware of that, so it is the branch of science which deals with the physical motion of the particle and then its behavior due to the force. Okay. So that is engineering mechanics. So the course objective is just to enable the students, basically the subject helps students to enable their knowledge and the analysis of various systems of forces and thereby able to just calculating the magnitude of the force on the statics of particles. So why we need to study engineering mechanics? So the application of engineering mechanics is very wide, covers almost all the field of engineering. Start with the structural this structural members when you are constructing the structural mechanical members. And then a structure of
ராம் சார், சாரி டு டிஸ்டர்ப் சார். சார் மேபி ஃபேனோ இல்லை நீங்கள் ஹெட்செட் உங்கள் ரொம்ப பக்கத்தில்
நாய்ஸாக இருக்கா?
ஆமாம், கொஞ்சம் காற்று சவுண்ட் நிறையா வருது.
ஓகே 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 ஒரே நிமிஷம்
ஓகே ஓகே
ஒரே நிமிஷம் ஃபேன் ஆஃப் பண்ணிடுறேன்.
ஓகே.
இப்போ ஓகேவா?
ஸோ ஓகே சார், இப்போ ஓகே.
ஓகே
ஓகே.
okay. And then when we are designing aerospace applications, those to design structures of wings, and then the flying force, the carrying force, then gravitational force, or those things we will learn through this subject. And then to designing anchors, that is a crane hooks, then ropes, and then the structures, those things also we will learn. And then the structure of buildings. So the engineering mechanics help everyone to understand how to constructing the structures. So it will help. So the basic definitions of engineering mechanics is a branch of science which deals with the study of physics, physical state of body at rest or in motion under the action of force. So that is the basic of engineering mechanics. Why we need to do so? When we study the engineering mechanics, it will you will learn how the static body's behavior due to the force acting on its structures. So this is engineering mechanics. So generally the engineering mechanics can be classified into two parts. One is solid mechanics, another one is fluid mechanics. So fluid mechanics we won't focus on here now. So only we are focus on solid mechanics. In solid mechanics we are classified into two categories. One is a rigid body mechanics, another one is a deformable mechanics. So deformable mechanics in the sense that we will study the physical deformation of the body under the force. Okay. So, but in engineering mechanics, we are focused on how the movement of the body. We want to study about the internal structure of the members or the body. Okay. So here we are focused on the rigid body mechanics in this chapter. So in rigid body mechanics, it is classified into two parts. One is a static mechanics, another one is a dynamic mechanics. So static mechanics. So in my topic, completely focus on dynamics. So the dynamics can classified into two categories. One is kinematics and then kinetics. So kinematics and then kinetics. So these two parts we are focused on now. Before that, some of the basic terminologies we must be know, so that we will easily understand what is the dynamics part. Okay. So length, I hope everybody know. So to measure 2 points with the unit of meter or mm, and then time. Also, this is under the dynamics part. So time, it tells the relative activities. We can say how much time taken to complete some activities. So that is a fundamental unit. Then it is a scalar quantity. Then coming to that, the mass, because dynamics part is the complete combination of mass, weight, and then time factors. So mass is the quantity of matters contained in the body. So weight, as we know already, we know that so weight is the force with which any mass of containing a body to attract towards the center of the gravity. So that is a Earth due to gravity force. So as already everybody know, so mass it is so it will vary. It never vary wherever you moves, whereas a weight is vary because it's purely based on the gravitational force. Okay, so if it is move to what we can say space, so the gravitational force is varied so that it changes. Okay, so the engineering mechanics, we must know the basic law of mechanics. One is Newton's law of mechanics. Next one is Lamius theorem, and then parallelogram law of forces. Next one is a triangular law. So we will focus on one by one. First, Newton's law. So we know that when the object remains at rest or its original position until it disturbed by the external force. Okay. So here I will show some of the animation. Let I take one surface. In top of the surface, I am putting one small ball. So if we are not disturbing it, so it will stay on the surface without any movements. Okay. So suppose I apply some external force. So the ball fall down. So that is the second law. So until you are disturbing the body, so it remains same position. That is Newton's first law. So that is a thing. An object remain at rest, okay, or it move in a straight line with a constant velocity if the net force on it is zero. Okay, so if it is sum of the force is zero, it is unstable. Okay, so if until you are apply any external disturbance occurs on the structure. So that is Newton's first law. So this is a example of second law. So Newton's second law said the rate of change of momentum of any body is directly proportional to impressed force and it take place in the direction of the force acting on it. So here look two pictures. One is filled with so it's a supermarket bit showing that. So this tray is empty, so it is filled with that. So the rate of change of momentum. So the rate of change of momentum of the body is directly proportional to impressed force and it take place in the direction of the force. So here, so which one is required more force? So from the picture, we easily understood that this required more force. So because here the mass is high, so that is the force directly proportional to mass. So that is the thing. So rate of change of momentum. So how much momentum is required? So based on that, so this one is we will easily move on that. So there is a second law of Newton's. The third law, everybody know. So the action and the reaction of the force. So how much force you are applying here? So equivalent force is acting on the other side. That is the action and reaction of the force between the interacting bodies are in the same line of action with the equal in magnitude but act in an opposite direction. So these two are opposite directions. So the diode is move. If it is both are same direction, the diode becomes zero. Okay. So that is Newton, third law. So coming to that Lamius theorem, state that if three coplanar forces acting at a point in a equilibrium, then each force is proportional to the sine of the angle between the others. Let me take here. So the three forces are acting. So let I take F1, F2, and F3. It tells that if three coplanar forces, so this is a three coplanar forces at a point, in a single point, it is a equilibrium. Then each force is proportionality. If we want to know what is F1, okay, F1 is nothing but the angle between these two. So F1 is nothing but the proportional to the sine of the angle between the two other two forces. Say for example, sine of alpha. F2, that is sine of, so remaining two force, F1, F3, that is this one. Okay, so F2, so sine of gamma. So F3 sine of beta. So this is a Lamius theorem. So this one we already studied. Students may be studied in school days itself. They know. Okay. Now we come to the parallelogram law of forces. If two forces acting simultaneously at a point be represented in magnitude and direction by the two adjacent sides of the parallelogram, then the resultant of the two forces is represented in magnitude and direction by a diagonal of the parallelogram. So this is a good example. So wings. So otherwise we can take so when you're playing it, so the how much distance it will cover. So this is a diagonal of these structures. So how much force we are applying here? So this is equal to this one. So there is a parallel law of forces. Okay, the diagonal of the force. Diagonal to the parallel of the applied force. So this is the parallel law of forces. Coming to the triangle law of force, it states that if two forces acting at a point represented by two sides of a triangle are taken in order to their resultant force. Okay, so that is triangle law. Then we come into the two major terminology. One is what is scalar quantity, and then what is vector quantity. So these two things we must be know. So just a minute, I will take water. So scalar quantity. So the quantity which process magnitude only are called a scalar. Okay, so only magnitude. So without considering the direction. Whereas a vector quantity, it considers both the magnitude and the direction. Let take these two pictures. When we want to know what is the speed of the vehicle, so that time we won't consider which direction it goes. So only we are focused on what's the quantities moves. So speed, what is the speed of the vehicle? So the speed is the example of scalar quantity. In case of weight, so the weight where you place it, so at which direction it moves, because it is attract towards the gravity. So if you want to know what is the weight of this apple, so you must be consider what is the magnitude, that is the weight, and then what is the direction, which direction you are applying. So then only the dial is moves. So that is an example of vector quantity. So what is force? So first we must know what is force do. So the force is the external member which is used to push a body or pull the body. Sometimes it helps to support a members. Sometimes it attract the to it. Then sometimes it try to rotate the members. So to rotating the, and then to bend or deforming the member. So these things the generally the force do. So force is the one of the member which is a external member which is used to pull a member or push the body. Sometimes it supports the body, sometimes it helps to rotate the body, sometimes it helps to deform the body. So that is called a force. This is a force, and the force doing this following thing: pull, push, support, rotate, and then deform. in the bodies. So this is the things. Okay. So this is a force, as already I just said. It's a external or internal agent which change or tends to change a state of rest or uniform motion of the body upon which it's acting. Okay, so that is called force. So what is equilibrium of particle? So this terminology we must be know. So a particle may be defined as a portion of a matter. First we must be know what is a particle. So the whole universe. So this is a earth. This is a sun. So here this is a small compared to the sun. So this is a small particle. So this is a particle. Okay, so particle may be defined as a portion of a matter. Okay, so if you let you take a big size of rock, so here we take for the analysis of this, the structure of this. Let we take a, because it is very difficult to move on the whole rock into the machines to know that its property. So what they generally we do, a small small piece, cut out piece we take into the experiment. So that is called particle. So the whole structure, the small part of members we take into the consideration. That is called a particle. So particle may be defined as a portion of a matter which is infinitely small in size in all its direction. The particle has no size, but it has a mass. So particle in general there is no size because it's a very negligible size, a small structure compared to its whole domain. They disconnect into some subdomains. Okay, so so generally the particles having no dimensions, there is no size, but it has some mass. Okay. So resultant force we must be know a number of force acting on the particle simultaneously and replaced by a single force which could be produce the same effect uh, as a product of the given force at a single force is called as a resultant force. So let me take this is a example, this example. So here, so the three forces are acting. The three force here I draw it separately. One is so a straight line. The three forces are acting. One is 10, 20 Newton, and 30 Newton. So the resultant force become 10 plus 20, 30, 30 plus 30 is 60 Newton. So the n number of forces are converted into single force that is equal to this one. So that is called resultant force. Okay. So if a number of forces, acting on a particle in a simultaneously are replaced by a single force. So the simultaneous force are replaced by a single force which could produce the same effect. So the same effect because this 10, 20, 30 this is equal to 60. So this same effect given by us that is called a resultant force. So resultant force of concurrent forces. So the resultant force you can classify into two. One is a concurrent force. Resultant force more than two concurrent. Okay, so concurrent forces. So what is concurrent force? So before that we must be know different types of forces. Certain forces not there. Okay, I will focus on that. Let I take two quadrant So here there are different types of forces are acting. F4. Okay. So before that, I want to know. I want to tell some of the one more basic thing. One is force and direction. Oh, sorry. So here to leave. Forces. So for example, so this is F1, F2, F3. F1, F2, F3, F4, F1. So the resultant of the single force is nothing but here for this picture F1 plus F2 plus F3. Whereas here F1 minus F2 plus F3 minus F4 plus F5. So this is a resultant. So you must be consider both the force and direction in engineering mechanics. So that is a basic thing we must be know, so that we will easily understand this concept. Okay, so just let me type. Okay. Now we will resolving these two forces. Okay, so this is cos, this is psi. Okay, so theta 1, theta 2, theta 3, theta 4. So this is the sum of the vertical force, sum of horizontal force. So horizontal force, vertical force, theta 1, theta 2, theta 3, theta 4. So the resultant, the sum of the, we must be resolved into two components, sum of the horizontal force, sum of the vertical force. So here also sum of the horizontal force, sum of the vertical. So the two are entirely different. Here the forces are away from the particle. The forces are away from the particle. Here the forces are towards the particle. This is a particle. The forces are towards the particle. So that what we must be considered when we are taking the force, the F1, but the effect must be considered in the third quadrant. Okay, so this is the first quadrant, the second quadrant, third quadrant, and fourth quadrant, because its effect is acting on the third quadrant. Let's say here, away from the particle, the same effects are same quadrant. So first quadrant, second and third quadrant and the fourth quadrant. Okay, so sum of the horizontal force we may taken as F1. So quadrant we must be know the sign plus minus minus. So F1 plus cos theta 1, sorry, minus, it must be taken as a third quadrant. Okay, so because it's effect acting on here this quadrant, so in this quadrant the horizontal force is minus. So next F2, it acting on here, so F plus F2 cos theta 1 theta 2. So F3 plus cos theta 3 minus F4 cos theta 4. Similarly, vertical force F1 sin minus F1 sin theta 1, F2 எடுக்க சொல்ல the fourth quadrant, so minus F2 sin theta 2 plus F3 sin theta 3 plus F4 sin theta 4. So here, but here we must consider the plus minus 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 plus. But in case of the to away from the particle, we must be consider the same signature. So F1 cos theta 1 plus F minus F2 cos theta 2 minus F3 cos theta 3 plus F4 cos theta 4. Here F1 sin theta 1 minus, sorry, plus F2 sin theta 2 minus F3 sin theta 3 minus F4 sin theta 4. So this is a way to resolve the forces. Okay, so if the particle is subject to n number of forces, so we must be solve this way. So but the thing is, you must be know where that angle is with respect to horizontal or vertical. If it is vertical, the sine cos becomes sine, the sine become cos. So there is a shade. So how it become, everybody know based on the trigonometry function. So that is the basic thing. So these are some of the examples. Because here I won't solve any problems. Now we will move on unit 5. So the next, the basic things we must be know. The principle of transferability. If force acting at a point on a right rigid body, if it is shifted to any other point, which is one line of action of forces, the external effect of the force on the body remain unchanged. That is nothing but in a line of action, the line of action, so any force acting on that is equal to, this is F1, F2, F3. is equal to F1 plus F2 plus F3. We can write if the line of forces acting on a same line, the n number of forces acting on a same line of action on the we will consider this one. Okay, thank you. So the next part is we will move on kinematics and dynamics part. Just a minute, I'll open the PPT. Okay. The part is kinematics and the kinetics. So here we are focused on what is displacement, velocity, acceleration, and then the relative motions. Okay. So first, before that, we move on that topic in depth. So first, we must know what is a dynamic. When several forces of a different magnitude and a direction, different direction, act upon a body, then can be reduced into the resultant force of coupled system. Okay, so we may this is a unit 2 part that is what is the force on coupled system. So here I want more focus on that, but we must know to solve rectilinear and curvilinear motion of the particle. What is a force on coupled system? So that is nothing, we know that is scissor machine. So this is a scissor. So one force is up, then one force is down. So this combination is called as a force on coupled system. Okay. So if the body remains in a static equilibrium, that is the absolute or relatively its rest, when a resultant force that is a coupled or zero, the force coupled system is not zero, that is changes occurs the state of rest or in motion of the body, that body in a motion dealt with through the dynamic consideration of part. That is a dynamics part. So if the particles are under the movement, okay, so that is called dynamics. Okay, so in dynamics we must know what is kinematics and kinetics. Kinematics and kinetics. In concern with the description of motion of the objects, if it is independent of causes of motion. So that is the relationship between displacement, velocity, acceleration. So displacement, velocity, and acceleration and time of a given motion. If it is particles moving somewhere, the displacement, velocity, and the acceleration, these things only we have to focus on. So without a consideration of causes of the motion, without considering the causes of the motion, that is called kinematics. So we only focus on how much it moves, that things only. So we won't bother about how much, why it's happening. So that It's called kinematics. Okay, so that is without considering causes of motion. Whereas a kinetics, we must be consider the causes of the motion. So that is displacement, velocity, acceleration, and time of the given motion with considering the causes of motion. That is called kinetics. So first we will move on rectilinear and curvilinear motion. Rectilinear and curvilinear motion. So before that we must know what is a trajectory. So trajectory is a path. See a path followed by a body during its motion. That is called a trajectory. Suppose you are throwing one stone from ground floor. So how the path, this path is traced. The tracing of path is called as a trajectory. Okay. If the path is straight line, if path is straight line, that is called a rectilinear motion. If the curved path then it's called as a curvilinear motion. So what you are doing, just you are throwing the stone. Okay, it is goes in a straight line, then it's called as a rectilinear motion. If it is in a curved line, then it's called as a curvilinear motion. So as we discussed, first we must know other terminologies. What is displacement? Displacement. Okay, so the change of position. Of a particle or body with respect to a certain fixed reference. That is very important. Fixed reference point. That is called displacement. So the change of position. So suppose let me take this is a point A. If the person run from A to B, so this is a change of position. Okay, so displacement of the body is B minus C. So we must be considered with some reference point. Okay, that is So displacement. So how much it displayed from here to there. Okay. So if suppose this, so how much distance it travel? This is called distance. So distance. Let say for example, the total distance covered by the body along with the path followed by the car is called the distance. Okay. So distance also you must be know. So here I write down that. So distance is nothing but the total distance. The total distance covered by the body along the path. Suppose A இது C ன்னு எடுத்துக்கலாமே. A to B போறாங்க, next B to C வராங்க, C to A வராங்க. So this is called distance. ஓகேவா? That's a displacementன்றது. So இது எங்கிருந்து இங்கிருந்து எவ்வளவு டிஸ்ப்ளே ஆகுது? That is called the display. Change of position only. They won't bother about the path followed by that. Okay, so what is the change? That is called displacement. Okay, so some of the key point we must be know to memorize to understand about the displacement. So displacement is the shortest distance covered by the particle. Covered by the from the particle from the reference. That's a displacement. Take positive to right reference point. If it is negative, in left. If suppose this is, so this if we take this is a positive, this is negative with respect to reference point. So this is a vector quantity. So displacement is the vector quantity. It considers both magnitude and the direction. Okay, so this is the things you must be know. So next terminology. So what we discussed, what is curvilinear, rectilinear, what is trajectory. Now what is displacement, what is distance. Now we look on what is velocity. That is rate of change of position of a body with respect to time. So generally we can say velocity change of position. It is a change of distance of x. Suppose this is a point to O, reference point. This is a A. This is B. That I take this is a distance of x. So this distance is change of displacement. That is del x. So how much time taken to reach that? That's a change of with respect to time, del t. So this is velocity. Okay. Now coming to that immediately acceleration. The rate of change of velocity. The rate of change of velocity of a body with respect to time. That is acceleration del v by del t. That is change of velocity. Del u. Change of velocity by change of time. So that is called acceleration. So next we will so equation of retrolinear motions must be known. Of motion, that is velocity equal to u plus at. Change of velocity is minus u square equal to 2as, s equal to ut plus of 2at square. So that is acceleration velocity. The short form of equation is we look some of the few example problem so that we will easily understood how the equations are help us. Okay, so before that we must be know some of the terminology. Just a minute, take it. Yes, a projectile of motions. So the projectile is reference to the object which is thrown into the space, and subsequent motion is subjected to only on gravitational forces. Okay, projectile it is refers to any object which is thrown into the space and whose subsequent motion is subjected to only gravitational force. Okay, so the projector travel both horizontal as well as vertical direction, and we need to trace it in a curvilinear path that already we discussed, that is called a trajectory. Okay, so some of the conditions we must be considered while study of projectile. It should be given some initial velocity. So that is basic thing. If you want to throw a ball or stones, so we must be apply some amount of force, that is called initial velocity. Okay, so always it's subject to some initial velocity. It should move under the action of gravity alone. Okay, so it moves only under the action of gravitational force alone. So it should not be any other driving force. So suppose for example a bullet fired from a gun, so that is called one type of projectile. Okay, so when you click the knob, so the gun is moves towards the line of action, Sometimes the throwing of cricket ball from one player to another player. Some stone thrown horizontal from top to towers. Or free liquid jet using from a through nozzle. So that is when you are washing it. So that is called. These are some of the example of projectile. Here I draw a small graphical representation of projectile. This is a velocity, throwing velocity, that is the initial velocity, alpha x. So this is a maximum range. So this is a total range. Range is covers. So the path is called as a trajectory. So this is the term we must be know. What is a range? Range is nothing but the horizontal distance between the two reference point. That is called range. The velocity of projectile, that is v, which is the body projected into the எவ்வளோ அமௌண்ட் வந்து it will projected into the space. That is called velocity of projection. Okay, so that is v. So v is nothing but velocity of projection. So the range and then the maximum height is nothing but the height of the ball or the gun is reach. That is called maximum height it will reach. Okay, so this is called projectile. Next one is okay. So these things is enough to because it is a very big unit. So it is much difficult to cover in our. So here with I will complete my presentation. So thank to everyone to listen. I hope it will help you some of the basic concepts. Thank you, Pradeep.
Thank you, Mr. Ramo, for your timely presentation. And if you have any queries, please raise any faculty.
Thank you for your order.
ஆக்சுவலாக ஷார்ட் பீரியடில் ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்ணது சார். ஆக்சுவலாக நாளைக்கு போட்டிருந்தாங்க.